and welcome to a rainy and wet turf ball as Burnley take on Norwich City. Here are the sides. Burnley with a 4-4-2. It's Nick Pope in goal, Matt Lowton, James Tarkowski, Nathan Collins and Charlie Taylor at the back. Aaron Lennon, Josh Brownhill, Ashley Westwood and Dwight McNeil in midfield. And Chris Wood and Matty Vidra are up front. In fact, Lennon replaces Cornet, who's out for a hamstring injury. And Ben Mee, in an hour before the kickoff, picked up a slight injury, so he misses out. For Norwich City, it's Tim Krul in goal. Then it's Aarons, Kabak, Hanley, Gibson, and Janet Lucas at the back. And then it's McLean, Norman, and Lees Mello in the midfield area. And James and Josh Sargent and Timo Pukki on the men up front. On the bench for the Clarets, Hennessy, Norris, Peters, Barsley, Longcourt, Goodmanson, Barnes, and Rodriguez. For Norwich, Gunn, Williams, Obandele, Rupp, Gilmore, Dow, Rashika, Swazles, and Adaya. And we're now going to pay tribute to Roger Hunt, who died this year, and there'll be a moment's applause in honour of the brilliant Roger Hunt, the former World Cup winner and Liverpool striker who died earlier this week. And immaculately done. The both sets of supporters and everybody around the turf. Roger Hunt, a terrific striker. And we had the great distinction of scoring the first ever goal shown on Match of the Day, August the 22nd, 1964. The man in charge today, is Kevin Friend of Leicester. His assistants are Eddie Holmes and Eddie Smart, Tony Harrington, the fourth official, and our VAR referee, Craig Pawson. So, Mr. Friend, the referee, preparing to get us underway. They will take the knee. Norwich will get us underway. And they take the knee, of course, on the ongoing battle against racism. And he gets a nice round of applause from most sections of the turf. And Timo Pukki will get us underway. Both teams in traditional colours. Burnley, of course, in claret and blue. Norwich in yellow shirts, green shorts, and yellow stockings. And the ball not forward by Westwood. Looking towards Vidra, who keeps his place despite picking up an injury at Leicester last week. It's a real shame for the game that Maxwell Cornet isn't playing. He did his hamstring at Leicester. Ben Mee out, of course. Tarkowski now will captain the side as the ball is over on the far side with Pukki. We'll start this from Norwich. We have lost our first 6 games of the season so far. This is Gunnar Lewis with the cross in there, but it's an easy one there for Nick Pope. Recently omitted from the England side. Gareth Southgate preferring the likes of Sam Johnston and Jordan Pickford and Aaron Ramsdale over him at the moment. You know what my feelings are about that if you listen to Celtic against Bayer Leverkusen a couple of nights ago when I was live with Russ Vernon. Minute gone here. Delayed commentary of this game here on the TC Hub, JBAC Football, JB Sports, TC Hub 2, and of course Storm FM. James Tarkowski got the armband. There's Kenny McLean, where we last saw the TC Hub playing for Scotland in that chastening night against Denmark, you may remember, when they lost 2-0. It could have been a lot more than when they lost quite heavily, but it could have been more than what they lost by that night. But they recovered sufficiently in the next 2 qualifying games. He was in the Scotland side for their upcoming games. Joe Deitch. Well, it was a good result. It was a good performance at Leicester, which deserved more than the point it got. And there was controversy at the end of that game when Rod had his goal wrongfully disallowed, in my opinion. Janaluik is now on the ball, gets it back to number 4, Ben Gibson. Ex-Claret, of course, he's been roundly booed. Didn't really play any of his best football that he was capable of at the turf, although he wasn't given much of a chance by Sean Dyche, in fairness to him. Lawton has given that straight to Pookie. That wasn't good defending there by Pookie. Pookie gets it across. Max Salmons is there on the far side, just to the right of the day, and he hits it right-footed across the goal and just wide. And Matt Lilton almost punished there for a bit of defensive hesitancy. You've got to say Norwich had a good opportunity there. Pookie did well there to dispossess Lilton. Played a lovely crossfield pass there to Aarons, but he had to speak well. And I thought Tarkowski was a little bit slow there, or rather Charlie Taylor was a bit slow there to close him down. Pope, I think, had the post covered, but it was a terrific effort there by Max Aarons. Norwich yet to pick up a point in the Premier League this season. In fact, in the previous 43 games, I hope I'm not going to be putting a kiss of death on this, but in the previous 43 matches, there's never been a goalless draw in 43 previous games between the two of them. Here's Taylor now for Burnley. 3 minutes gone. Here's Taylor now on the far side. Just about keeps it in there. And now Westwood takes it on. Pursued by 2 Canaries players as well. Ball played into the penalty area. Headed away by Hanley, former Blackburn player as well. No, he won't get a good reception here at the turf today. Ball up forward. Again, Hanley cuts that out. Taylor now takes possession. Looks for Lawton. Right-hand side. And Bridger wanted it played in there, so too did Wood. That is towards Wood on the far side. Again, Hanley got a touch, and Lennon's first touch just let him down as he tried to take off that loose ball inside the Norwich penalty box. Here's Norman. That's Matthias Norman, that is. He's a German player. He's got bleached blonde hair as well. As the ball was not forward there by Kabak, and it's straight into the arms of Nick Pope again. Rolls it out to Nathan Collins, who's making his Premier League debut. He has played in he's played in 2 Carabao Cup games this season. The penalty shootout win at Newcastle, and of course the 4-1 win the other week against Rochdale, where Jay Rodriguez, who's incidentally amongst the substitutes, got all 4 of the goals. It's Burnley's only win after 90 minutes this season. It's Ben Gibson's getting the bird from a lot of Claret supporters at the moment, and he'll be getting the bird in a second or two once he gets hold of that ball. And Tim Krul has actually taken a little while at the moment with these goal kicks. 5 gone, Burnley 0, Norwich City 0. Krul must have been taking about 25 seconds on this goal kick alone as he finally kicks away left-footed. Over the halfway line it goes. Header won by captain for the day, Tarkowski. He'll come now for Taylor, picking up the second ball. 10 yards from halfway. Gets it over the halfway. Good chest control by McNeil. Vidra just couldn't take it. And Norman got back there, but he's giving it to McNeil. Back to Vidra. Hanley across. And a good challenge there from Hanley. That should be a corner to Burnley. It is. I know Hanley reckons it was a goal kick, but it's a corner kick. Kevin Friend quickly onto the scene. McNeil doing really well there. Just asked a little bit of Vidra. And the ball then certainly came off the centre-back last. I thought, anyway. Yeah, it looks as if it came off the centre-back last. And behind. And in actual fact, he's overturned his decision, and I think he's given a goal kick, which I find rather bemusing there from Kevin Friend, but never mind. Burnley have possession anyway with Lowton. Lowton plays that forward, and on it goes now. And here is Brownhill. And he turns away from his man. He's got Lowton on the right-hand side. Lowton will get the cross in, but it's too close to Hanley. Straight out to Lennon. Lennon now, but Norman across there for Norwich. But Lowton lets that go out of play. Will be a Burnley throw in line with the 18-yard box of Norwich. Here is Lowton from the throw. Played a 1-2 with Westwood. Back to Westwood to the byline. It will be a corner kick to Burnley this time. The first of the game. 6 3/4 minutes gone here on the TC Hub. And Burnley have a corner, which will be taken by Dwight McNeil on the right-hand side. Can Burnley get this early breakthrough and settle some nervous tensions around Turf Moor, I wonder? Let's see. Wood's in there. Tarkowski's up. McNeil takes the corner. In it goes, fisted away. Not very far down by Krul. And Collins just couldn't get it out from under his feet. And Aaron's gets it away. And then Collins fouls his man. And a free kick to Norwich and a little bit of respite for the Canaries. And Tim Krul again, just taking his time on the free kick. This is the replay. I'm just seeing it. So left-footed cross from McNeil. Goalkeeper all at sea there. Collins just couldn't get any purchase. Norman put him under a lot of pressure. And Janelukis was fouled there. So a free kick. It is now for Norwich City. And again, Krul taking his royal time with this. Surely the referee's got to start making a gesture, at least towards the wristwatch, because he will have time on at the end of the first half. Let me grant you that. And the ball out of play. Pookie reckons it's a Norwich throw. It wasn't. It's a Burnley throw, surely. And Pookie's appeals has got his team a throw, but it looked as if it was a Burnley throw. But anyway, Norwich have got it. And already with 8 minutes gone, the referee's not winning too many friends around the turf. It wasn't a particularly good throw out anyway, and it's back to Nick Pope. Pope kicks away left-footed. And not a bad kick, but it went straight to a Norwich City player. That's Kabak now. As yes, Jana Lewis played the ball forward, but well cut out there by Nathan Collins. In the 2 games he's played in the Carabao, he's actually did very well. He certainly did well against Newcastle. He played alongside Ben Mee that night up at St James's where they won on penalties. He's playing alongside James Tarkowski for the first time. Let's see. We'll be interested to see how he gets on. Yes, the ball comes in there for Westwood, but just too close to Krul. 9 gone. Burnley 0, Norwich City 0. Max Aaron's coming close for the Canaries. And Nathan Collins having a sort of a half chance, which didn't come to fruition after the goalkeeper had been all at sea. One kick forward, eye into the stratosphere. Collins read that well and headed it forward. But here comes Yanakopoulos again. And it's back once more to number 4, Ben Gibson, former Middlesbrough player as well. Here's Vidra now, takes on Hanley. Here's Vidra, surrounded by 3 Norwich defenders. Here's, just trying to do too much there. Just bunched up a little bit, Wood Brownhill there. The chance had gone for a second, but it's still alive for Wilton, who crosses it from the right-hand side, and Vidra almost getting in there. He's causing 1 or 2 problems, Matty Vidra, in these opening exchanges. He may not be the tallest man. It's a Norwich throw just by the corner quadrant. But I'll tell you what, Matty Vidra is causing 1 or 2 headaches for Grant Hanley and his 2 centre-backs, Kabak and Gibson, right now. It's not going to be easy for Norwich today. Playing with a back 5, so they're trying to be ultra-defensive at the moment. And that looked like a foul there by Westwood, but the referee's not giving it. And Sargent has got away with one there in my book. And now Norwich have got a break on here with Aarons. And Pookie's forward and Tarkowski has brought him down. It was a foul. And a yellow card has been given. And Pookie, I have to say, Pookie can keep his mouth closed. It's a yellow card because there's a covering defender. It's a free kick and a yellow card for sure. Because Pookie is through a goal, to be fair. And Tarkowski knew what he was doing. No complaints there. But what I've got a grievance with, Pookie wanted him sent off, but there's a covering defender, and that was Nathan Collins. And that's the point. And I think Pookie would do well just to keep his mouth shut and be thankful for what he's got there. Because I think, on both counts, I think the referee was correct. So a free kick to Norwich in a very dangerous position. McLeod and Norman will be the 2-men committee. Now, Nick Pope has obviously come under a little bit of scrutiny in the last couple of games, certainly against Arsenal, where he made some indecisive moments like the kick away. Then he was suspect on the free kick, which Odegaard scored, and then was at fault, certainly for the second Leicester City goal last week. So he's got a lot to prove to his doubters and to Gareth Southgate here today, that you were wrong not to pick me, and if he can prove that, then it'll be a nice little battle for him to win. A clean sheet would go down rather nicely for him as well. Pope is not happy with the position of the wall. He wants it a little bit further to the right-hand side. Four-man wall, Collins, Tarkowski, Wood and McNeil. Let's see if it's going to be the German Norman, Matthias Norman, to take this. Blonde hair lad. Going to be right-footed, and it's Norman just to the right of the day, and it deflects off Dwight McNeil for a corner to Norwich City, their first of the game, and we've played nearly 12 and a half minutes gone here on the TC Hub. Also, our streaming partner for the season is Melanap. www.melanap.com is the website. Corner kick then to Norwich. Burnley under a little bit of pressure. Norman's going to take it from the far side. And Norman sends it in towards Yanakopoulos. And then the goalkeeper having to come out there and did well, commanded himself well. Got a good fist on that Pope. And then Lawson hits it against Lees Mello. And out of play for a throw-in. But I have to say, full marks there to Nick Pope. Burnley's defending all at sea there as that ball was headed into the penalty area there by Yanakopoulos. And Nick Pope kept his eye on it, saw it, read it, knew he had to punch it because Hanley was close at hand, and he got a good purchase on the ball, got a good fist, and he did him well, more than enough there to get it away. Good goalkeeping there by Pope, and that's his kick flick on by Wood. And then, Norwich appealing for something, and then, that surely must be a free kick. Well, there's a few ironic cheers. Lowton wants to get on with it quickly, but the referee's not ready, and Janelukis is now going to be spoken to there by the referee. No yellow card, just a free kick. I think that's right from the referee. Coming up to 14 gone then on the TC Hub, J.Football, JB Sports, Storm FM and TC Hub 2. We're also on Periscope, Twitter and Twitch. Delayed audio commentary of the Premier League game here at Turf Moor between Burnley and Norwich this afternoon. Westwood sends it in towards the penalty area. He got Victor. Surely it was Pollack's there by Krul. Burnley won a penalty and they're not getting one. The referee said no. And Tim Krul they're surely going to look at this on VAR. Surely they've got to look at it. Kevin Frank must have had a good view of that. He's not given the penalty. He looked a clear and obvious penalty to me. Krul completely poleaxed him. Free kick comes in from Westwood. Victor gets there first. And Krul has punched him. Krul has knocked him out. And that has got to be a penalty. VAR surely have got to check it. He's poleaxed him. That's a clear penalty. And Krul knew exactly what he was doing. I tell you what, if he was sitting on the street, he would have been serving time for that. That was a horrible piece of goalkeeping, and I don't think he's going to even check it. It's given a corner, but it should be a penalty. Krul got nothing of the ball. Got lots of Vidra. He absolutely poleaxed him. What are we watching here? Football? Or is it boxing? Well, Burnley should have a penalty, instead of which they've got a corner which McNeil will take. Controversy here at Turf Moor. Ball towards the far post towards Collins. That surely come off Hanley. And the goal kick's been given. I can't believe that. And Grant Hanley sarcastically applauds that decision. I can't believe that. I have got to say, I have seen some very iffy refereeing in 6 years of doing audio commentaries, whether it's for JB Sports or whether for TC Hub. In 6 years of doing this, I have never seen such an awful decision in all my life than the one I just seen there. It was a clear and obvious penalty. And I've got to put it to you straight. If it was your player poleaxed by Tim Krul, you'd be wanting a penalty. Let's put it that way. Vidra was poleaxed. There's no doubt about it. And Tim Krul knew exactly what he was doing. Got nowhere near the ball. It was almost shades of Battiston and Schumacher in the 82 World Cup as one try is over, but he's offside. Good ball forward. Vidra knocked it down, but Wood was about a yard off as he smashed it over. Good decision there by Mr. Smart on the near side. Yeah, he's about a yard off. Good decision there by the linesman. No doubt about it. Although Wood should have done better with the finish, admittedly. That is a major talking point there for me. I might be a Clarets fan, but I know when a bad decision has not been given. And if it was the other way around, if it had been Norwich on if it had been a Norwich strike on the end of it, I would have probably said the same thing. You probably gone out clean out. I would have said the same thing as well. But Burnley robbed there, no doubt about it. And Kevin Friend, quite rightly getting the bird from the Clarets faithful. Here's Gibson, who's been roundly booed himself. Copping a lot of abuse here today, but you know, Burnley fans know what happened with all the situation. The reason why he didn't get many games was because of his form, or because he kicked up a right old rumpus. There's a Norwich player gone down there, but and that's Sargent who's gone down. But Tarkowski won the ball quite fairly, and Sargent was backing into him. Play on anyway. Sargent has got himself up now anyway. Here's Aarons now for Norwich. Plenty of controversy and talking points. Should Burnley have had a penalty in the 14th minute? Well, in my opinion, having looked at the replays, and I'm sure you're looking into later on, surely that has to be a penalty. It looked as if, I'll go as far as to say if Crew had committed that sort of offence on the street, he'd have been up in court for GBH on a GBH charge, and that's not me being nasty or unkind to him. That's me just being honest as a football observer. That was shades of Battiston and Schumacher in '82. It's hard to be very critical these days with the way the media is now and all this be kind nature. I'm not trying to be unkind. I'm just calling it as I see it. So if you are offended by my comments, folks, I do apologise, but I have to call it as I see it. And I thought Crow was very lucky to get away with even a booking. On another day, I've seen goalkeepers sent off for that. And we remember, not only that, but less than 3 months ago in the Euros, in a game involving France, they got a penalty for when their striker was poleaxed as well. So, this is where I have to say the fault lies, firstly, with Kevin Friend for not spotting it, and secondly, to Craig Pawson for not actually pulling up or urging Kevin Friend to go and have a look at it on the monitor. And I'm just hearing people in the commentary box around me now and just saying, well, why don't we have a review system like they have in cricket? I think that's a very good point someone's just made there. I've just been overhearing. Why not have a review like they do in the cricket? If someone's out or someone has been out LBW and they don't think it's in line, why don't we have that same sort of system for penalties in football? I think that way then VAR would be a lot of it would save a whole heap of hassle and certainly a whole heap of talking points. Interesting debate. Here's Hanley now for Norwich. Very lucky to still be at 0-0 in my opinion. And Krul very lucky to still have nothing against his name as Gibson chips it forward, looking for Sargent, who's got him behind Collins, but Collins is quickly to him. Sargent trying to turn now, the American. Plays it back to Pookie, his strike partner. Pookie looking to get the shot off. Finds Norman. Norman now. Norman's got Aarons on that far side. And Aarons shoots right-footed, and it's well blocked, and Westwood can bring it away for Burnley. A tricky moment there for Burnley as Vidra and Hanley battle for that one. Hanley just comes out on top. Kabak now back to Gibson. Gibson back to Kabak, who's a Turkish international. Aarons in possession now on the far side for Norwich. Halfway through the first half. A game that's really thrown up some interesting debates and talking points. And I'm not mincing the words in what I said. Ball over the top looking for Pookie, but Nick Pope was quickly onto the scene to read that very, very well. And of course, we'll hear what Sean Dyche and Daniel Farker will have to say once the outcome of this game is over and get their appraisals of it a little bit later on, because it'd be nice to hear the two managers' viewpoints of things. Anyway, here's Lawton now on the right-hand side, keeps the ball in. One ball forward there, looking towards Vidra, is away, and Vidra, oh, that's surely a penalty! Grant Hanley clearly barged him over, and that's surely going to be a penalty, but the referee's not going to give it. And he's not winning many friends here, is Mr. Friend, if you pardon the pun. Hanley has got a bit of a reputation, certainly going back to his Blackburn Rovers days, of being a very dirty sort of player. I thought he was barged over. And that he's in the bracket of Sydenham given. Vidra was there first, and he's clearly brought him down for me. I think that's a penalty. So Burnley have had 2 potential penalties. I don't think it was more Castellan than the earlier one where Krul took Vidra out. But Hanley gets away with one, and that did look a penalty. It did look a potential penalty. It's in the bracket of Sydenham given, but VAR decided not to check it. And we carry on with the game. Here's Norman. The Burnley fans getting quite understandably agitated with the referee right now. Here's Lowton now. Lowton on in goes to Westwood. Westwood looking to get running away. Hasn't really been as effective as I thought he might be. I suppose when you're 34 years old, you're not as sprightly as you used to be. Here's Lowton. Burnley really need to win this game. Big game for them. 2 points picked up from previous 6. 4 being defeats. Manchester City next up. They hate to go into that one with something. And now Wood is in a bit of trouble. And I think Kabak's made a bit of a meal of it. And unfortunately, Wood is going to be booked. And I don't think the Burnley players like the reaction from the Turkish international there. The ball was there to be won. And Westwood and McNeil getting into a set 2 with Lees Mello and Gibson and Hanley. It's all getting a bit feisty out there now, and Westwood just needs to calm down. Halfway through the first half, Wood has taken his booking, to be fair, very, very well. Let's have a look at this replay again. Yeah, it's just overran it there. It was a bit of a hospital pass, and Wood did go in there very much with the studs showing, so it was one-footed, so under the laws of the game, although Kabak might have made a little bit of a meal of it. I think there's no defending Wood really for that challenge because the intent was there and the studs were showing. But Kabak did make a bit of a meal of it. But the referee not making many friends now. Now a booking's been awarded to another Burnley player. I'm not sure who. Possibly Westwood or Lowton. Was it? Lowton, is it? Well, Burnley don't feel as if the referee's on their side at the moment. And whilst all that's been going on, Matty Vitra has been attended to by physio Ali Beattie. Presumably it's for the knock he picked up when the penalty should have been awarded some 10 minutes ago. Sean Dyche is fuming. And one has a bit of sympathy with Sean Dyche there. Recently signed a 4-year contract to be Burnley manager, as Matty Vitra now is led to the far side. Vidra is not the sort to give in that easily. You're missing nothing, by the way. The game has been stopped. Just to point out that our player of the match, sponsored by Commentary Services, will be in operation in the second half. And even though we're not live, we're delayed, we will pick a player of the match for you a little bit later on. And I've got, as ever, I've got that task of choosing a player of the match. But no, so far. Oh, here's a chance. But out comes Pope. Did really well there, the Burnley keeper. Really good goalkeeping that was. Here's Collins getting it forward. And again, McNeil, sure, he was being held there. And the referee's blown it back. And I think that's the first good decision in a long while that he's got right. And a yellow card to Norman. And I think that's also correct as well, because he's pulling McNeil back quite conclusively there. McNeil's going forward, and look, he's got a fistful of shirt. He's tugging McNeil back. And that's the first decision I think the referee has got right in the entire match. But we've got to be wary of Burnley have got to be wary of Timo Pukki's runs. There's no doubt about it. I have to say, Nick Pope's goalkeeping so far in this opening 26 minutes, it's been exemplary, but the free kicks and the crosses have not been of a good enough standard. I think part of it is the fact that when that Burnley are missing Maxwell Cornet, he was such a revelation before limping off with the hamstring injury against Leicester City last week. Anyway, Burnley got a free kick about 35 yards out. McNeil's going to have a pop, and he does, but it's straight into the arms of Team Kroll at the near post. And he's taking his raw time, but he has the ball with his possession. It's not a goal kick, so he's allowed to. There's no 6-second rule here. In theory, it's not actually time wasted because he has actual possession of the ball, but his goal kick is not. His kick out from his gloves isn't exactly the best I've seen him do. But should he have been at least booked or sent off or have a penalty given against him, I will go as far as to say it might be a bit strong of me to say it, but if he's done that on the street, there may have been he may have been up in court for GBH. That's the sort of collision we're dealing with there. But it's an interesting talking point. That is for sure. And I'm not speaking as a Burnley fan. I'm speaking as an observer. And the foul there by Lennon, no doubt about that one. Giannakopoulos was tripped. Free kick to Norwich. Ridra still trying to run that concussion off, but I've got a feeling he won't be lasting too much longer. I think he may well have to come off if he's struggling still. But he's trying to carry on. He's a tough campaigner, is Matty Vidra. I don't think there's many doubts about that. It's very hard sometimes when you've got that sort of expression there. But anyway, back with Lowton now. Lowton gets the ball back. Halfway line is Tarkowski. And, Jill was given away there by Tarkowski straight to Timo Pukki. But Nathan Collins, I have to say, he's done really well in the 28 minutes I've seen him play. I've been very impressed with Nathan Collins. Premier League debut. He pitched in at the 11th hour. And, that's a penalty, surely. Henry clearly tripped him. And the referee's not going to give it. The referee's not going to give it. And surely when the ball goes out of play, VAR have got to check this. I will be amazed if VAR don't at least check it. Matty Vidra giving a rueful smile to the referee who's getting a bird quite rightly from a lot of Burnley fans. And I've got to say, it's not been his finest half an hour. In fact, I think he's had an absolute abysmal half an hour. He's got, out of all the decisions he's made, I think he's probably got 2 of them right. That's how shocking the referee has been as Vidra chases Tim Crow out there. But Krul gets there first. Could Burnley have had possibly 2, possibly 3 penalties in this first half? We might still get a check yet, but the ball's still in play. So we won't find out until the ball goes out. It's Aarons' cross, turned away by Tarkowski. Now, will we get a VAR check? Burnley reckon it should be a penalty. Half an hour's gone, and no, he's not going to check it. I find that amazing. Got a clear chip by Hanley. Inside the penalty area, was right on the line, and under the laws of the game, that should have been a penalty. But Kevin Friend is ignoring everybody at the moment, and he's absolutely getting a bird. Burnley could have had 2, maybe 3 cast iron penalties. Pukki goes down, referee not interested. Here's Westwood now to McNeil. Inside the centre circle, Vidra was 3 as well on that far side, and McNeil just couldn't get his head up enough. Here's McLean now for Norwich. Talking points galore. We've had no goals, but we've had talking points. Here's Giannakopoulos. Back to Norman, who's actually been Norwich's best player so far, I think. I've been very impressed with some of his work rate. Ball back with Tim Krul. And now Ben Gibson now to bring it away. Gibson hits it along, left-footed. Headed away by Collins. He's done really well at the heart of the Burnley defence. And then Lawton just has a little bit of Charlie Taylor. Taylor now gets the ball forward, gets his head up, gets it forward, down the line, looking for Wood. Wood well blocked off there, well policed there by Hanley. We haven't seen a replay of the second Grant Hanley trip. I would like to see that again, because I think that's a definite penalty. I mean, seen it real time. I thought it was a penalty. Here's Aaron Lennon now for Burnley. Lennon trying to run at Norman. Lennon's cross, not a particularly good one, just too much on it for Vidra. There were only two in the penalty area as Aarons holds off Vidra's intentions, and Vidra does really well and keeps the ball in play. Good ball this from Vidra. Vidra now to McNeil, left-hand side. McNeil finds Westwood. Lovely football this. Taylor now with the cross. Deflects, so headed half away by Norman. Here's Lowton. Lowton inside to Brownhill. Just that's a lot of Brownhill, and that's going to be a free kick. And again, the card is coming out. I think that's a rather harsh against Josh Brownhill. It's a free kick, no more, no less. And I think Lee's Menu has made an absolute meal of it. He's rolled around about 6 times, 5 yards from where the foul took place, and has conned the referee into booking Josh Brownhill. It's a free kick, no doubt about it. No dispute with that decision. But the dispute is he's rolled around as if he's been shot there by Lee Harvey Oswald, and the referee, I'm afraid, has bought that hook, line and sinker, and has booked harshly, in my opinion, Josh Brownhill with it. Now, this is the Hamley trip. That's on the line. That's a penalty for me. That is right on the line, and that was a clear penalty for me. Look, it's on the line. That's a penalty for me. And Hanley, the former Blackburn player, who's got a reputation for being, shall we say, a hard man, has got away with 2 blatant penalties not been given against him. Meanwhile, Vidra hasn't been able to shake off the effects of the earlier, shall we say, punch from Tim Krul when he poleaxed him. That should have been a definite penalty. Looking at it again, it's even worse every time you see it. Look, he's there about 2 seconds before Krul is, and Krul completely poleaxes him. I think that's a disgrace, and I think the goalkeeper is very lucky to still be on the pitch. Unfortunately, it's put Vidra out the game. That'll please Norwich somewhat. But what it does do is give Jay Rodriguez, the hometown boy, a chance to prove his worth. Hasn't scored a Premier League goal since Fulham. Hasn't scored a goal in league terms for about 18 games or something like that. But he did score 4 against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup to become the club's all-time scorer in that competition, overtaking the likes of Andy Lockhead and people like that. So he has made a lot of Burnley history, but they need him to make history in the league sense to try and get them up the table. At the moment, it's only a point in a game really that Burnley realistically need 3 from. Jay Rodriguez, who really hasn't set the world alight since returning to Turf Moor. Before that, he scored a couple of goals in an FA Cup win at Fulham, for which they won, I think it was 3-0. As Krul kicks away now, left-footed. Up it goes there towards Kenny McLean, who won the flick on. But Westwood was back there and had to knock the ball out of play. Matt Wilton catching it, but trying to take it a little bit there. Trying to sell McLean the dummy, but he does a throw into Norwich. Need a couple of us to take it. 10 minutes to half time. It's been no goals here on the commentary hub. JB Sports, JDAT Football, Storm FM, and TC Hub 2. McNeil just about getting on that end of that hospital pass there. And did really well. Has a lot there at McNeil. And good challenge there by Lees Mellew. His Beatrix have not won many favours around the Turf Moor. In fact, some of the antics from the Norwich players have been really, really appalling. Somewhat. And I think Burnley should have had at least 2 penalties in the first half, if not 3. That's just my opinion. You may have a different idea. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're watching it on any sort of platform, YouTube platform. Here's Dwight McNeil. McNeil looks in turn now for Taylor. On it goes to Westwood. Now then, chance here for Lennon. Oh, he's done well. Lennon. Oh, the cross was just he tried to get it was a good idea, but he just maybe tried to beat one defender too many, and in the end, all Burnley get for their endeavours is a throw-in. But what they've got to be wary of here, Burnley, as they attack, is that ball is threaded in, and it's just too high for Chris Wood at the bar post, and it's going to be a goal kick for Norwich. But I have seen Norwich already. I think Norwich have been very, very swift and good on the counter-attack, which will be a worry for the Clarets. But it's hard to ignore some of the ridiculous refereeing that we've seen in this first 37 minutes of this football match. It's not been Kevin Friend's greatest 37 minutes as a referee. Let's put it that way. Kick from Krul, who's very lucky not to have seen at least a yellow, if not a red, for what he did earlier on to Vidro. It should have been a penalty as well. Ball not forward, and then Norman, who's actually been Norwich's best player, really is an exciting player, the German, and he's a workhorse, is Norman. And that's what you get with Norman. I think he's a very good workhorse. Been very impressed with him. Here he is now winning the next ball. Pukki chested, although from the first glance he looked as if he's handled it. Looked like an handball there against McNeil, but the referee waving it away. And Norwich now have possession. The ball back to Tim Krul. So no harm done really from the Norwich point of view. Here's Gibson now, being roundly booed by the Burnley faithful. And here is Norman in possession. Norman, that's a nice ball out if he can pick out Aarons, and he's done so magnificently. Now then, can he whip Taylor here? This is dangerous moments here for Burnley. Back to Aarons again on the right. Aarons is cross. Oh, well, in Tarkowski, because Pukki was on the scene as well. We know how deadly a finisher he can be on his day. The Finnish international. But this is why Norman's in the side. You can play lovely crossfield passes towards the right-hand side. And I thought that was a lovely 60-yard pass. It was a beautiful 60-yard pass into the path of Max Aarons. Could have caused Burnley more problems than it actually did. But when you've got a player like Norman who's got a tremendous range and radar of passing, it's a good player to have in your armoury. At the moment, the bottom side holding second bottom at the start of play. And this 6-pointer, 0-0. I know it's a bit early to start talking about relegation 6-pointers, but the longer these two teams go without a win, the more desperate it might get. And there's a lot of anxiety around Turf Moor now. Can Burnley get that opening goal as Taylor comes in, looking for Rodriguez. Rodriguez really didn't make much of an effort there. And I think he really needs to up his game a little bit, because he's fallen foul of my criticisms in the past. Even though he's a hometown boy and he loves the club, he plays for the club that he supports, I don't think he's shown enough willing in the last couple of seasons really to warrant a start in the Premier League. Neither has Ashley Barnes, for that matter. Here's Matt Lowton, chips it in there, looking for Rodriguez, and for one, but it wasn't a particularly good cross. I think that's been the disappointing factor from Burnley's point of view. Here's Lennon, and there was just nobody there. In fact, I think Burnley are quite fortunate to get a corner there, and Aaron's knocking it behind. But again, not enough movement for me in the penalty area from Burnley attackers. Only 2 in the box for Lennon to get the cross in. It was not. Burnley need to gamble and get 4, maybe 5 men in the penalty area, because 2 or 3 isn't enough. You need at least 3 or 4 options, at least for people like Lennon and McNeil to hit balls into the box. Here's Westwood. It's an outswinger towards Lawton. His first touch was so heavy, but he's somehow kept possession. He's played the ball back to Taylor. Now he switches it out to the left-hand side. Can Burnley find a way through with 5 minutes of the first half plus any injury time remaining? Alternate delayed commentary on the TCM and JB Sports and JDAT Football, Storm FM, Periscope, Twitter and Twitch and TCM2. Here's Westwood, Brownhill with a ball in there. That's Rodriguez. It hit a hand, but I think it would have been rather harsh. I think it was ball to hand really against Hanley. I think Kevin Friend would have been very, very reluctant to give a penalty. And it was about 2 yards away from Hanley. Let's have a look again. Brownhill's cross. In fact, it hit his chest, actually, to be fair. And for once, Kevin Friend's got a decision right. It did hit Hanley on the chest. Burnley in possession still, though, with Westwood. They're not going to give in before half-time. They've certainly had the bulk of the possession. It's just what you do with that possession that counts. Take the refereeing decisions out of it. The crossing has been really awry, but they've won a corner here. Taylor hitting it off a defender, which was Aaron's. Hit him in the face, in actual fact. He's been very dangerous for Norwich today. In fact, he's another one who's actually impressed me from the Norwich point of view. Came very close in the opening exchanges with a terrific effort outside the box just to the right of the D, which whizzed past Nick Pope's far left-hand post. 3 minutes to go to half-time, plus any additional time. And the ball was whipped in there towards the near post. It wasn't again. Westwood's corner radar's been well off today. Last season, or the season before that, they've been right in on the goalkeeper. Not at this moment in time. The set plays have not worked the oracle. I think teams are starting to slowly work Burnley out a little bit. Here's Lowton now, picking the ball up down the right-hand side. Good intensity from Burnley. Just need that end product. McNeil is in acres of empty space on the far side. McNeil gets across it. It's way, way deep. Comes to Lennon, but it's hooked away by a Norwich defender. Lowton will reload. And Norman, well, that was almost the first bad thing Norman had done in the whole match. He headed it back towards Tim Krul. And I reckon if he'd headed it a yard either side of the goalkeeper, I think that would have been one of the more spectacular own goals of the season. He took a risk there, Norman, because on another day, if that goes a yard either side of the goalkeeper, that's whizzing into the back of the net. Burnley almost in front. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck when you're down at the bottom. Burnley almost getting that luck. But the charms are on Norman's side there. Well, it would have well on that occasion. Here's Ben Gibson in possession. Moves again for him. As the ball is knocked forward there by Kabak. And here's Sargent taking it midway inside the Burnley half. Sargent running towards the area. Plays it just behind McLean. And then poor clearance really by Lennon. Sargent has possession. Ball played back to the edge of the area. Shot comes in. And a good save by Nick Pope. Diving away to his left-hand side to deny Lee's Malieu. Hit it well there, the Frenchman. On the right foot. Nick Pope did really well. Hasn't had much to do since the start. Or since the 12th minute when he had to fish one away from a crowd seat in the Burnley penalty area. And he's basically saying to Gareth Southgate, I think you were wrong not to pick me. He did that well. And he swatched it all the way. Got it, caught it, and kept hold of it. That's top goalkeeping. And Pope really has a point to prove. And he's at the moment, what he's had to do, he's proving a point to Gareth Southgate. Ball chipped over the top, and one just couldn't get there. It's a lovely idea from Burnley. The ball chipped over the top. It might have been from Westwood. And in fact, it was McNeil who chipped it forward, left-footed, and just a little bit too much pursuit there. It would just been an inch or two in front, further back. I think Wood would have got hold of it and possibly volleyed it in. But as I say, it was just an inch or two too far in front. And we've got 4 added minutes, purely and simply because for the injuries to Vidra and 1 or 2 other incidents. We've got 4 added minutes. So Tony Harrington deciding that's the case. Here's Westwood now. 4 added minutes, remember. Here's the ball forward. That's come off Aaron's, and that will be a throw-in to Burnley. Although Burnley wanted a 3 kick. Burnley get on with it quickly. A referee making it perfectly clear it's a throw-in by motioning the throw-in signal as the ball is hooked into the penalty area. Comes to Lowton, who hits it, a warning, hand ball against Hanley, and now it's not a penalty. I don't think the referee's interested. He's given a corner instead. Will VAR be checking it? I'd like to see that one again. Not like hands here. Hanley got it half out. Lowton back in. Yiannopoulos, it hits here. And his arms out. It's in a natural position for me. I think that's a penalty. But I think keeping in tune with his consistency or his bad consistency of not giving penalties. Kevin Frayne again reluctant to even refer it to VAR. In fact, VAR have checked it and they agree with Mr. Frayne quite amazingly. I thought that was half a case for a penalty. As the corner comes in and the goalkeeper was all at sea. McNeil putting in probably the first good corner of the match. from a Burnley viewpoint, well, probably the second one, because from the very first corner that he had the goalkeeper in knots, and he had calling a lot of knots there. Still 0-0, amazingly. And Burnley could have had at least 2, maybe 3 penalties in this first half. 2 of them against Grant Hanley, possibly. But unfortunately, Kevin Friend has not been Burnley's friend, and has not made friends with any of the many of the 18,000 that are in Turf Moor this afternoon. Here's Sargent on the right-hand side for Norwich. He's only got Pukki in the middle. He'll take on Tarkowski, and Tarkowski's too clear a defender to be fooled than that. And then Nathan Collins helps him out. In fact, Tarkowski was fouled by Sargent. And for once, the referee gets a decision right. That plays on. And bowls out to Brownhill, rather. Finds McNeil. McNeil now in turns to Taylor. Back inside for Westwood. Left-hand side. Nice Chris triangle passing here from the Clarets. They can play a ball across the deck. That's another perceived criticism by certainly the Freak Streak hacks and some of the Southern football fans, that they don't play enough football along the deck. Well, that's certainly not true. As the ball played into Lennon, who can't get it out from under his feet, and then shoots left-footed and scuffs it well wide. Although, to be fair, I think the defender got in front and blocked it for a corner. Couldn't see who it was who made the block, but it was a really good opportunity. It was Kenny McLean who got back and stopped Lennon from going any further with his shot. As Westwood's corner comes in there towards Nathan Collins, and Rodriguez just couldn't get on the end of it, and Norwich City somehow again, for the umpteenth time, survive. That was actually a better corner there from Ashley Westwood. Asked a lot of the defenders. Collins did well to win the first header, and just Rodriguez just needed to be a bit more brave, I felt, just to get on the end of it. When it's not going for you, sometimes invariably that happens. 10 seconds of the 4 remaining. And prepare for booze, folks, because Kevin Friend will not get the best of send-offs back to the dressing room at half-time. He's going to allow this one more Burnley attack. We're now over the 4 minutes. McNeil on the far side, being well policed here by Kabak. Kabak has policed him well, but here comes the cross, headed out by Hanley. Still with play on, and now the referee bowls for half-time, and chorus of boos towards Kevin Friend by the Burnley supporters as Sean Dyche and Ian Lowe make their way off, and they'll be fuming. Daniel Farker makes his way off towards the half-time dressing room. The main debate is, should Burnley have had possibly 1, maybe 2 penalties? There were 4 major incidents there. First of all, should they have had a penalty when Vidra was quite clearly taken out by Kroll? That looked a definite penalty. Then Hanley pushed him over a few minutes later, then tripped him up on the edge of the penalty area on the line. And Sean Dyche is fuming as he walks off there as he confronts Kevin Friend. It's and the referee, I'm telling you now, is given the bird by the Burnley supporters, and I've got little sympathy with him right now, because I think he's made I don't think he's had his finest 3/4 of an hour as a referee thus far. And then there was a potential handball, potentially against Giannakopoulos as well, which was checked by VAR but not given. Burnley should have had at least 2 penalties, but Norwich have given as good as they've got. Aarons has come close on a couple of occasions, and Norman has looked very good as well, but Burnley can feel hard done by a little bit. They've had 4 players in the book, 3 or 4 players in the book this far as well, but the referee has not had his finest 45 minutes, that is for sure. Half-time then at Turf Moor, after a first half littered with talking points, and I make no apologies for the opinions I've got with certain decisions today so far. Half-time here at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Norwich City 0. Well, we're back underway now here on the TC Hub. A 45 minutes that went before, which had certainly a number of many talking points, and a lot of us here at the turf really still talking about it now during the halftime break. But now what Burnley have to do is put those those injustices behind them and really go through it in the second half. Here's McNeil right from the start. McNeil shoots, good save, down the way to his left by Tim Krul. It was a good start for Burnley. McNeil hitting it true. Must have been from 35 yards out. Here's Lowton, right-hand side from Brownhill's pass. Netted only half away. Westwood on in turn again. Taylor available left-hand side. Taylor's cross and turned towards goal by Wood. And Burnley appeal for a corner and keep it in tune with questionable decisions. Kevin Friend gives a goal kick. But a good start for Burnley. Right from the word goal, right from the kickoff. Hits it well with the left foot. And I have to say, it was at a decent height for Tim Krul. Watched it all the way. That was actually it was a very good speculative effort, but the goalkeeper would have been expected to save that in complete honesty to everyone. And a goal kick, as I say, has been given. So, again, Krul taking his time. He took about 15, 20 seconds on goal kicks in the first half alone. Again, that angered a lot of people inside Turf Moor, and I think that's why as well. That's why the referee was adding a bit more time on. I know mainly the bulk of it was for Matty Vidra's injury as well. Remember, Vidra had been replaced by Jay Rodriguez. That's been the only change. So let me just run through the sides very quickly. Pope, Lowton, Tarkovsky, Collins, Taylor, Lennon, Brownhill, Westwood, McNeil, Wood and Rodriguez up front. Krul, Aarons, Gibson, Hanley, Kabak, Janka Lewis, Norman, Lees Bellew, McLean, Pookie and Sargent, the Norwich lineup. On the bench for Burnley, two goalkeepers, Hennessy and Norris, Peters, Bardsley, Long, Court, Gudmundsson, Barnes. Norwich subs, Gunn, Williams, Ono Bandele, Rupp, Gilmore, Dowell, Raskia, Tozalis and Adaya. And off we go now. So that's a recap of the teams here on the TC Hub. Delayed commentary of a crucial early season 6-pointer in the Premier League between two sides who have yet to win this season. 2 points between them, both earned by Burnley. One here at Leeds where they should have won. And Leicester last week when also they should have won, but for a controversial VAR decision. Here's McNeil crossing from the left-hand side. Wasn't a particularly good cross. Taylor will try and reload the situation. He looks for McNeil. On it goes now to Brownhill. Brownhill on it goes again. On to McNeil. Oh, he played the wrong ball. He tried to play Wood. It didn't really offer him too much, really. And then Brownhill just has to be careful there because he could have brought the man down. And here's a problem now. This is a terrific run by Kabak, and he goes down. It's a free kick for Norwich, and Jay Rodriguez will get booked for that. Had to hack him down, and Rodriguez takes his yellow card quite well. I don't think there's any argument. He gets the ball here, the Turkey. He goes past Brownhill. Brownhill, remember, he's on a yellow card, and he can't afford to bring him down. Then Rodriguez has a little bite. Still, Kabak goes on. It's a good run by the Turkey, it has to be said. And yes, Rodriguez does trip him over, and I don't think anyone could argue with Kevin Friend's decision on that one. And now Burnley have some defending to do, and maybe Nick Pope has got possibly a save to make here. But it was definitely a free kick. Rodriguez, definitely a booking for him. Now, an opportunity to show what Nick Pope now to show Gareth Southgate that he was wrong not to include him in the England squad for games against Andorra and Hungary this week. Forthcoming. We've got 2 qualifiers coming up, remember. You'll hopefully be able to hear both live. You'll certainly be able to hear the one on Saturday night. That will be with Ross Burden. Join him next Saturday night if you can on the commentary hub. It'll be live. And hopefully we'll have Hungary as well at Wembley for you as well the following week. All those games coming up. And, of course, we've got Nicholas Jones covering the England women later on this month as they take on Northern Ireland at Wembley Stadium on the 27th of October. Meanwhile, in the present day, as Norman and McLean, the two-men committee, it's right dead central inside the D, about 2 yards from the 18-yard line. And it's Norman with a free kick. Oh, it's a super save. That's a top save. And then the rebound is hit off Lennon and out for a throw for Norwich. But Norman hit that sweetly through the wall. And full marks to Nick Pope. He could not have seen this until very late. It was just about going inside the left-hand post. And that's a super save. And that has just shown Gareth Southgate what he's actually not picked there. He's proving things wrong. He's proving Southgate wrong. And Pope is doing it. He's reacting to his omission from the squad in the best positive way today. I've been impressed with Pope. Throw in again. And Pope's decisive and takes the ball nicely. That's super goalkeeping, that. Had to get above the mountain. That's Grant Hanley, admittedly. But I tell you what, that's super goalkeeping. Kept his eye on the ball. Knew exactly what he was doing. And that is what you want to see from a potential England goalkeeper. None of this ridiculous nonsense about passing out from the back. That's all nonsense as far as I'm concerned. And all of the belief from Gareth Southgate. It's just any excuse not to pick Pope. And here he is now. And he's kicking. And he's lucky there that Pukki was offside. And Pukki shoots. And the flag should go up for offside. It does. That's the first little bit of an error that Pope has made. And it was the kicking again. Yeah, didn't really catch it well enough. And then obviously Sargent was through. And then obviously Pukki was coming back from an offside position. And the linesman at that point had to put his flag up. In fact, he didn't. He put his flag up for a throw-in, actually. So Burnley under the back foot a bit as Norman crosses in from the left-hand side. And now it's Norwich's turn to put Burnley under a little bit of pressure. Here's Max Aarons on the right-hand side. He'll take on Charlie Taylor here. Dwight McNeil's coming to help. Ball knocked in there again this time by Lees Mellew, but it's nodded back calmly by Lilton to Nick Pope. And that's a better throw out from Pope. And a first time ball knocked forward towards Rodriguez. Well read by Ben Gibson. It was a good intentional ball knocked forward there by Matt Lilton. There's Delia Smith there. I'm just seeing there. More famous TV chef. And the next to her is one of Burnley's most famous fans, the former press secretary of number 10 Downing Street, Alistair Campbell, of course, was the press secretary for Tony Blair in his early years as Prime Minister. Big Burnley fan since 1960. Brought up in Keighley. Meanwhile, here's Taylor for Burnley. Locked in there towards the penalty area. Can't find Lennon at the back post. It will come to Lowen on the right-hand side. And good defending that from Norwich. Collins knocks the ball in there. Headed away by Gibson. It will be a throw in there for Burnley. In line with the 18-yard box of Norwich. You're listening to the live commentary of Burnley against Norwich. 0-0 it is on TC Hub, TC Hub 2, JB Sports, JDAT Football, Storm FM, Periscope, Twitter and Twitch. We're also on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the commentary hub as the ball is knocked forward towards Pukki. You can't get there and Taylor will clear up the rebound. Just while we're on the mentions, don't forget our streaming partner for the season is Melon Streaming App. Check out their website at www.melonapp.com. And, of course, we're also on Twitter. We have a Twitter handle for you at Commentary Live 1. Commentary Live 1 is our official Twitter handle. So plenty of ways for you to get in touch with us at the TC Hub. And of course, our player of the match will be sponsored, of course, for the season by Commentary Services, our parent company. Right, now I've done all the mentions. Back on with the action with a Burnley throw-in. Drills and spells. Looks like Johan Berg Gudmundsson might be about to come on. He's about to warm up anyway. He's put a bib on and he's going to warm up. So it's obvious that Sean Dyche is going to put him on. I think Burnley do. I think Burnley, when you look at the game, take the decisions out of the equation, the questionable refereeing, and you look at it more logically. I'm not holding back on what I said about Tim Krul, by the way. It's just an observer's view. But what I will say is that Maxwell Cornet has been really missed by the Clarets, and that's a poor cross from Charlie Taylor. He's capable of much better crosses than that, and he damn well knows it. Burnley have honestly and truthfully missed Maxwell Cornet this afternoon. Although he's been out and about at the game today, taking selfies and posing himself with Burnley fans who have really took him to his heart, or really took him to their hearts, I should say. And I think he's going to be a terrific asset. And he could well be, there's talk of him being back for Manchester City as Norwich now get possession. It's been it's Norman now knocking it out. And Kabak can't keep it in. It will be a Burnley throw-in. And Taylor racing to get the ball back into play from the throw-in. Here's McNeil now for Burnley. Nice ball. No, it's not a good ball, actually. It wasn't as measured as I thought it was. And here's Sargent now picking it up for Norwich. Burnley getting numbers back now. Sargent having to hold the ball up there because he was a bit isolated. Norman, who's had a storming game for Norwich, it's got to be said, has knocked the ball forward. And here's Pookie getting in there. And a good challenge, first of all, by Nathan Collins. And then James Tarkowski just to knock it behind for a corner. Nathan Collins has not looked out of place. So you can understand why Stoke fans were raving about him. Stoke fans were saying, you've got a very good defender here in the making. This is the initial header, but then recovers very well to put Pookie off, and then Tarkowski just gets across there. So in theory, he rectified his own mistake there as the corner comes in. It's a dangerous one there from Norman from the far side. And here is Lees Mallieu with another good cross. And again, this time Burnley did well. Nathan Collins again at the heart of it all. And Westwood bring his head away now for Burnley. Danger averted for the Clarets for the time being. Here's Matt Lowton now for the Clarets. Still 0-0. And the ball played in there towards Chris Wood. Wood on his close to the left-hand side. And here's McNeil going a little bit more central. He's got Taylor on the left-hand side. McNeil does well. We'll use Taylor now. This needs to be a good cross from Taylor if he can whip his man. And he plays a short ball to McNeil. I felt the opportunity to cross in on the left had gone there. Westwood now. Will they try something from the right, perhaps? Again, they go in field. Westwood, nice little disguise passing to the path of the cross. Oh, Rodriguez can't finish it. He comes out to McNeil, edge of the area. McNeil trying to turn, but Norwich crowd him out. No free kick against Norwich, and here goes Sargent. He's got Pookie to his left. It's 2 against 2 momentarily. It's Sargent now with Collins across, and Collins did terrifically well. Great defending there by the Irishman. Brilliant defending by him. It's a corner. He wants a free kick, but that was a dangerous moment there for Burnley. And I tell you what, Josh Sargent is a really good player, the American. He had Burnley on the rack there, but credit where credit's due there for Nathan Collins. So as we see the chance here, Brownell's cross, goalkeeper gets away, and I think Rodriguez rushes it a bit. I'm not sure if he's got the eye on the ball there. Takes his eyes off it for the split second, and that's all it takes in the end. And now Burnley at the moment defending. But Tarkowski reads the corner well there from Norman. Ball hooked back in there from the left-hand side. And there's a man free. And it was Kabak with the header. And he was completely unmarked at the back post. No flag. And Burnley almost undone there. It was Lowton's header out. The cross was reloaded in. And in fact, I think you'll find there was 2 of them offside. I don't think the goal would have stood. But Norwich now starting to come into this a bit more now. That'll please Daniel Farker a bit. They've had a good spell here. And I think Burnley have to change things. And I think Goodmanson was probably one of the obvious answers. It's a fist bump from 1 or 2 of the lads. Bardsley and Cork over on the far side. Our substitutes. Burnley about to use their second substitution. First substitution was in the first half after half an hour. That was the last one after Vidra was taken off. And now Aaron Lennon, who's not, I think he's showing his age a bit there, Lennon. I think Gudmundsson was very unfortunate not to start today. Preparing to go with Lennon. I think when he looks back in hindsight, I think that was probably the wrong decision from Sean Dyche. Lennon, in his prime, was a fantastic player. On his day, could be a world beater. He hasn't looked anything like that since being back in a claret shirt, I have to say. Here's Aaron's now on the right-hand side for Norwich City. He's got Sargent and Pukki, who's actually just drifted into an offside position. And that's why Aaron's was reluctant to release it. And Taylor's fouled him, according to the referee. It's a bit soft to me. The free kick given nonetheless to Norwich. Right to the penalty box. Tarkowski querying it again. Let's have a look. Aaron's is a very pacey player. And actually, I think Aaron trips over his own feet. I think that's a poor decision again from Mr. Friend. I don't think Taylor touches him at all. Aaron trips over his own feet. I think the referee has been conned there a little bit. He's not had his best match today, Kevin Friend. He's not had his finest 61 minutes as a referee, I don't think, ever. An unnecessary decision, which led to some more unnecessary pressure now on the Burnley defence. And it's going to be Yiannakopoulos to take this free kick now. Pope will be wary of this. Hanley's come up from the back. Yiannakopoulos takes it, and it's headed away again. Good start, Burnley defending. They're going to be determined to at least keep a clean sheet, if nothing else, today. Here's Norman now for Norwich. Norman, oh, that's nice skill. Norman, now can he get the cross? It deflects. Oh, he might have just hit the top of the crossbar, and it whizzes over. But I tell you what, he's showing some good. Tell you what, he showed some good skill there. Turned. I'll tell you what, that was a lovely little Rabona flick to get him away from the defenders, and then got the cross in. Yeah, little Rabona takes him away from Westwood and Taylor. That's good skill, that, from the German. It's the cross now. Did he get a deflection off Charlie Taylor, I fancy? I fancy he did. He took it away from Pope and onto the top of the bar. In fact, a goal kick has been given. So, even though it might have got a slightest deflection, it would have been very difficult for the referee, in fairness, to see that. But Norwich having a good spell. They hit the top of the Burnley bar, although it wasn't troubling Pope too unduly, I have to say. Here's Collins across now for Burnley. And ball out of play. And it will be a Norwich City throw. I thought it was a Burnley one, but to be fair, no Burnley player was clearing it. No foul there. Referee plays on. Westwood in possession for Burnley. Looks out Taylor inside the centre circle. Looks for Brownhill. Brownhill touches it on to Westwood. The ball goes back to captain of the day, Tarkowski. I bet your bomb dollar that Ben Mee will be fit for Manchester City. And one hopes so too will Maxwell Cornet. Could be a much closer game at the Etihad next week if in 2 weeks' time, as that ball is wanted in there. Chance for McNeil! Oh, he can't control it, and it goes wide of the left-hand post. That was the chance that Burnley were craving. And Dwight McNeil rolls his eyes, hangs his head. It was Johan Gudmundsson with a fantastic cross. Got it on the right, and this is what we wanted to see more of from Lennon. And this is what Gudmundsson does bring to the table on his day. Beautifully whipped cross. And for whatever reason, I think McNeil, again, it's a split-second thing, took his eye off the ball for a split second. And I think he had more time than what he had. He could have even took a touch to steady himself and then blasted in. But that's just the way it goes sometimes at the bottom end of the table. Gudmundsson again, he's starting to make things happen. Here's McNeil. McNeil now. He's got Lowton on the right. Instead, he goes to the left-hand side of Westwood, who feeds Taylor. That's an awful lot of Taylor. His cross was charged down. It wasn't a particularly good ball by Westwood, who possibly sold him a little bit of a dummy there with a hospital pass. And now the ball out towards Gudmundsson to quote an old Chris Whiteman phrase. Here's Gudmundsson now. Running down a blind alley, but goal kick given. Well, will Burnley get another good opportunity like that all afternoon, I wonder? McNeil will have time to replay it and think, my word, I should have done an awful lot better than what I did. And that's the way it's gone for Burnley so far this season. They've had several key opportunities, but just haven't been able to finish. Here's Tinkrow with the kick, left-footed, all the way over the halfway line. Header one, bit backwards there. That looked a foul there on Collins, but the referee's allowed it to go on. Here's Kenny McLean for Norwich. Good block by Charlie Taylor. Looked a foul there by Pookie. I have to be honest, the referee keeping in tune with some questionable decisions. Played on. Cross comes in, and well taken, Nick Pope. Decent cross that from Max Aaron's. And I've got to tell you that Nick Pope was again very decisive. Been very impressed by the Clarets keeper today. Recently dropped from the England side. Rather harshly in favour of a championship goalkeeper, which really, in my opinion, sticks to High Everton back. But Sam Johnston is playing against inferior opposition week in, week out for West Bromwich Albion. Really sticks the place out for me, that decision. No gripes with Aaron Ramsdale being in the side. No gripes with Jordan Pickford being in the side. But I still think Nick Pope should be there. Yes, he's made a couple of mistakes, but all around, I still think he's a quality keeper. Here's Aarons again with the cross, and he's proved it today on many occasions. Here comes the shot and over the top. And I think it was Jan Koppelis who had the shot again. It was over the top anyway. It's not a game for the faint-hearted. It's been a tough examination for both sides. It's nervous tension in the air. There's tension. There's all sorts of one mistake. It's that sort of game where one mistake could be so costly in terms of where the points might go here. I think Norwich will be, if it was to end a 0-0 draw, it would be the first in 43 games as Pope's off limits and does well, plays sweeper keeper and does the safety first option. And I think he did right there to knock it out of play. That, again, I have to say, one of the features of Nick Pope's goalkeeper today has been his decision-making. And this is one of the great features of his goalkeeping. He's been very, very decisive. And I think that's a good positive to take into the international break. And also, I think maybe being dropped from the England squad has made him a bit more fired up today. He's had a super match. Okay, he's kicked one or two ones astray, but you can't judge him just on the goal kicking alone. You've got to judge him on his all-round game. And I think most of his game has been very much in tune. Been really good. Cross comes in from the right towards Gudmundsson, looking towards Wood. And Westwood took his man, and he's furious about that towards Kevin Friend. And I wonder who went down that time. Kenny McLean it was. I'd like to see that one again. There's a lot of frustration now as we come to the midway point of the second half. 68 minutes gone. Let's have a look. Well, I think that's a little bit harsh. I think the ball was there to be won, and I think McLean knew exactly what he was doing. Went down and got the decision. It's a tad harsh against Westwood. But that's the problem when things aren't going for you at the wrong end of the table. That's invariably what happens. Sean Dyche is a little bit perplexed on that touchline over on the far side. So we're halfway through the second half on JB Sports, JDAT Football, Storm FM and TC Hub 2 and on TC Hub itself. Plus, we're on TC Hub Periscope, TC Hub Twitch, and, of course, the TC Hub Twitter channel. Ashwell Barnes there just warming up. Boy, does he owe the club something now, because his performances recently have not been good enough. And he owes Sean Dyche something. As that ball's lifted in there, Rodriguez just couldn't grow enough. Cross maybe a touch too high, which made it a little bit more difficult for Jay Rodriguez to just get the flick on there. Just needed a bit more of a defter flick, maybe towards the right-hand post, to the right-hand side of goal, and then I think Burnley might have cashed in there. Good header won by Collins on the long ball, read it well. I have to say Collins is in line for man of the match. So too is Norman, so too is Pope. As Kroll takes possession, he should have arguably been sent off after 15 minutes when he poleaxed Vidra. And I don't regret what I said. He could have been, if he'd have done that sort of thing in the street, whether it was intentional or not, if he'd have done that in a park game, I think there would have been There may have been a few eyebrows raised, let's put it that way. Could have been up in a corner law for that sort of thing outside of the professional game. If he did not have the park game, I think the police might have had something to say about it, because it was a very vicious sort of punch on Vidra, and it really poleaxed the Czech Republic international, who's been called up to the Czech Republic squad for their forthcoming World Cup qualifiers, of course. Vidra, of course, played in the Euros. Burnley is a substitute. Hopefully, they should be okay for those. Had to go off with concussion thanks to Kroll's antics, shall we say. As the ball's whipped in there towards Max Aarons, but that's out of play. Yeah, that incident takes me back to Howard Schumacher and Patrick Pedersen. We see Chris Wilder there, the former Sheffield United manager, taking in a football match today. I think he would love to get back in there soon as. That looks offside against Sargent, but Collins was quickly onto the scene. Used his strength well. I have to say, Nathan Collins has been amazing at the back four. But Burnley today. Here's Westwood now to Lowton. Lowton again. Infield to McNeil. I think Burnley are playing it a little bit too obvious here at the moment. They are missing Maxwell Cornet for me. That's a good ball now. Brownhill, who's yet to score, and it's his 50th appearance. Brownhill hits the defender. No, that ball, definitely not. Play on. I think that's the right decision. Ball played into the area. Couldn't find Rodriguez. He was wandering back from an offside position. Then there's a Norwich player gone crashing down, or perceived to be crashing down. It's Norman who's down. This is Brownhill again. In fact, I think he's winded Norman with that shot. He was hit with quite some venomness with Josh Brownhill, but Norman did everything right. He got his body in the way. His arms were down, so he couldn't have been penalised for handball. Actually, quite brave from the German, I have to say. Corner to Burnley, left-hand side, and it's Ashley Westwood. Howie would love to put a delivery. Howie owes the car at something here. His deliveries haven't been good enough, and that's a poor one. By his own high standards, it asked a lot of wood. It missed everybody in the end. And away goes Yanakopoulos on the far side, and he gets it again. And Nathan Collins again, right place, right time, gets a footy, and he finds Goodmanson to his immense credit. Here's McNeil. McNeil now towards the far side. Still right, McNeil. Here comes Charlie Taylor, and he goes down. Sure, he was. Oh, that's another chance for a penalty. Burnley aren't going to get anything. And Aarons reckons it's that Taylor's made a meal of it. I thought it was a clear tag by the defender, Aarons, and I think that should have been a proper penalty. So have a look at it again. Taylor there. Nothing wrong with the challenge from Aarons there. It's the second one that we're concerned about. Oh, he's pushed him. He's pushed him over. Taylor goes down. He's not one to go over easily, Charlie Taylor, let me tell you. And Aarons has clearly pushed him over. And that should be, in my opinion, being looked at for VAR. But I think keeping in tune of the consistent inconsistencies of the referee. I don't know he's going to give that one either. But again, that looked a clear bad decision. And look at that. Max Aarons, quite rightly, but tried to show, I think he showed an imaginary yellow card towards the referee, and that's dissent in my book, but that should have been a penalty. Taylor was quite clearly pushed. But yet again, Norwich City get away with murder. Potentially 3, maybe 4 penalties, and I'm not exaggerating the truth, folks. Burnley should have had this afternoon. It's not as if, I don't think Kevin Friend wants to give Burnley anything at the moment. Burnley don't get many penalties, as you well know. That's a decent-looking ball, but a little bit deep there for Chris Wood, who has to control it. Now, he needs to get in that penalty area and quick. Here is Wood now again, hits the defender. That will be a corner without any question at all. As we come up towards the corner hour mark to go. Can Burnley sneak a win? It's a throw-in, in fact. Here's McNeil. McNeil onto Brownhill. Now, Taylor, that's not a particularly good ball. No, Norwich made a bit of a meal of it. Goodmanson using his strength well, but took 2 on, possibly on the cross. Here's Westwood. Can't get past any Norwich defenders who were strong in the challenge. I think Norman got a good foot in there and stopped once we're going any further. Here's Tarkowski, left-hand side. Finds Taylor. Norwich have brought a lot of men back. All but Timo Pukki behind the ball now. Here's McNeil. Burnley looking to play between the lines. They've got it out to Taylor. Norwich knew exactly what was coming, and Aaron's got in the way. It's a corner kick. Quarter of an hour to go. Westwood will take it from the left-hand side. Can Burnley just put one good delivery? All it needs is one good delivery on the goalkeeper, and Burnley could well be in business. And I think now, because we're getting towards quarter of an hour to go time, I think one goal might settle in if there is to be a goal. In the previous 43 games, I don't want to tempt fate, but in the previous 43 games between these two sides, there's never been a goalless draws. That's in league football terms. And Norwich City have won just once in their last 11 visits to Turf Moor, stretching back to the old second-tier days. So they don't have a particularly good record here at Turf Moor as an away team, as a visiting side. But they're riding their luck here, and a lot more. I think they must have had 7 out of 9 lives used up here already today. And they get away with another one. Missed kick for Gibson that just didn't get to Rodriguez. Only had about half a second of reaction time there. It wasn't enough, quite honestly. Gibson's mistake not punished. Here's Westwood though in his possession, but he's lost it. And Hanley now just boots it towards halfway, looking for Pukki. Good header one there by Tarkowski into the path of Taylor. That was good. Good intelligent centre-back play. Now McNeil at centre of the field. Midway inside the Norwich half. Fees Matt Lowton. The crossing, I have to say, apart from a couple of good crosses from Goodmanson, I think the crossing in the main has been really, really despicable from Burnley today. I've been very disappointed with the crossing and the set-piece ability of Burnley today. And I think that's one feature of the game that's been a complete letdown as far as I'm concerned. 13 minutes now for Burnley to put things right. And then Norwich will equally feel that they've got a chance of maybe sneaking one on the breakaway. They've got a free kick for a foul there by Collins on Sargent. And that will give Norwich a little bit of time now just to get their bearings together, because they've been under a lot of pressure this last sort of 5 or 10 minutes or so from Burnley attacks. Now, what can Norwich cook up here? I'm going to cook up 2 substitutions. Rakika is going to be one of them, potentially. Yeah, Rashik is definitely one. Can't tell you who the other one is, but we'll find out in just a second anyway. Gibson takes the free kick over towards the far side. Here's Pukki. Pukki turns. And then Norwich just slowing the pace down, playing it to their own speed. And they're in behind again. This could be problems. Crossing there, and right on the goal line was Taylor. And Max Sarans was the man stealing in at the back post. It was a lovely cross with Yanakopoulos. He just stowed in on the blind side. I think Nathan Collins, that's the first time I think he's been found wanting there at the back. And in the end, could have easily led to a goal, but full marks Charlie Taylor got there first before Irons did. Pope was not getting anywhere near it. The cross was too good for him either as well, but you've got to say, good defending. But the danger isn't over yet for the Clarets, because Norman will take the corner. Hanley's forward, but well policed by his opposite number here. Header flicked on by Sargent. That was dangerous, and Pukki miskicked it. Comes to Pukki again. And Burnley, they were at 6s and 7s just for a few seconds then. It was heart-stopping moments for every Claret and Blue man, supporter, man, woman, boy and girl inside that stadium then. Lowton's flick really caused all the problems. Gibson was in there, and like Lowton did well, coolly chested it down and then just booted it as far up the field as he dare go. Substitutions for Norwich. Rashika is on for Pukki. That's certainly one. And Lucas Rupp is replacing Pierre-Louis Melieu. So Rupp is now on. And Ashley Barnes has replaced Chris Wood. I can tell you now. So Wood is done now. And while Ashley Barnes has now got 10 minutes to really win his favour back with the Burnley fans, because at the moment his goal scoring prowess has not been good enough in terms of what's required really up front. But here's Aarons in a bit of space, and the ball played in there towards Sargent. Well blocked again, and goal kick given. So Tarkowski very pleased with that decision. Once again, Josh Sargent getting in on the blind side. Aarons again playing the ball forward. Yeah, it comes off Sargent last and behind for a goal kick. The main commentary of this game, of course, on the TCM network of channels includes JB Sports, JDAT Football, Storm FM, TCM2, Periscope, Twitter and Twitch. And our streaming partner for the season is Melon, streaming at www.melonstreamingat.com. If you want to know more about that. And we're also on Twitter at TC Hub at Commentary Line 1. And we have a Facebook page at allthews.facebook.com/the Commentary Hub. Of course, we've got to play with a match to choose in something like 9 minutes to 8 or 9 minutes time. We played 81 minutes here at the Turf. Still Burnley 0, Norwich 0 on the TC Hub. Here's Goodmanson back to Lowton, crossing from the right towards Ashley Barnes. Headed away there by Rupp. Not very far though. Barnes tangling there, and Rodriguez has fouled his man. Free kick to Norwich. Foul there on Ben Gibson, former Claret. Norwich just 8 minutes away plus injury time. Getting something from it. But it was Kenny McLean he fouled, not Ben Gibson. But Norwich have been taking a lot of time on goal kicks and set plays. Tim Krul has been involved in it. It's taken him well over 20 seconds to potentially release the ball here. And I have been making notes, although I've not been saying it on mic, but I've been noticing that Krul's been taking a long time on the set plays and clearing them out. And I think the referee's got to try and add time on for it. He added 4 minutes, but he added 2 extra minutes on at the end of the first half. Otherwise, it would have been 2 minutes for the Vidra. 2 minutes surely for the Vidra injury. And a corner kick now to Norwich. Cross was deflected away. Rashika's cross. So Vidra certainly took about 2 minutes with his several stoppages for him. And then there was 2 minutes in combined time-wasting tactics used up by Tim Krul, who should have been penalised when he poleaxed Vidra in the first half as that cross comes in from Norman, and Gibson is in there, and it's dangerous defending there, but Pope gets the loose ball. That was a heart-in-mouth moment there for every Burnley fan in the land. Ben Gibson, what an irony that would have been if he scored against his old club. Here's Barnes trying to hold it up. He gets a throw-in off Rashika. Right-hand side. Still 0-0. Ball played back now to Tarkowski. Tarkowski only turned today for Collins, who's certainly in line for player of the match. He hasn't hardly put a foot wrong in the whole match. He's had a terrific game at centre-half in Ben Mee's absence. To be drafted in at the 11th hour and to play your first Premier League game in a big 6-pointer and not make any mistakes is quite an achievement for Nathan Collins. And I can see why Stoke fans were incandescent with frustration when he left Stoke. Sargent is claiming a free kick, which it wasn't. And here's McNeil now down the left-hand side. And he goes down. A free kick been given. Free kick's been given to Burnley. Now, this is where they've got to get these set plays completely and utterly right. 6 minutes plus injury time to go. And the way Norwich have been going about taking their time over goal kicks and free kicks from the goalkeeper, I would be more than amazed if there isn't any more than if it's anything less than 3 minutes. Because the time they've taken, plus the substitutions, the referee's not happy. There's been a pushing and shoving going on. That was actually, ironically, a very good free kick from McNeil. But the referee, for keeping in line with his fussiness, he's not happy. And in fact, I think he's picked out Ben Gibson for criticism. So, an opportunity now. Can McNeil get it right from the right-hand side? Can Burnley get that goal? Can they get it on Barnes or Rodriguez or Tarkowski's head? That's not a good free kick. It's punched away. But Burnley won't keep the situation alive. They have to go back to halfway into Charlie Taylor, however. And that's a good ball by Taylor to Goodmanson. Digs it out from the right-hand side. And Rodriguez went to the shadow from just to the right of the penalty spot. About a couple of yards wide of the left hand up, right hand upright. And I think it's going to be one of those days for Burnley yet again. They may well pick up 1 point, but this was a game really that they should really be taking free from. A team that have lost their previous six at the start of the season. But he knows he's got away with a few decisions today, Daniel Farke, and he will know it. He will know it in the back of his mind. He's needed a bit of assistance from the referee. Ball locked too far for Rodriguez. He was well placed again. Here's Aarons now. He's been a real threat down this right-hand side for Norwich. That's not one of his better deliveries. Nick Pope will take it just inside his area. Again, good alert this from the dropped in good goalkeeper. Wrongly dropped, in my opinion. Here's Brownhill to McNeil. But I'll tell you what, Nick Pope has answered his critics and Gareth Southgate in the best possible way today. And I've got a decision. It's probably between him and Wesley Collins for man of the match. Here's Barnes. He's got it round the keeper. Oh, he's too acute, and he should have shot when he had the chance. It's a Burnley corner only. Headed away by Max Aarons and Barnes. And he had a chance to make himself a real hero and be a favourite with the Clarets again. He did everything but shoot. And he should have shot as soon as he took it round the goalkeeper. And I think he knows it. Still a chance for Burnley from the corner. 3 minutes to go. Ball into the penalty area. Header, not one. It'll come to 10 on the edge of the area. Heads it back into the mixer once again. It's all hands on deck for Norwich, but there's an infringement there, and it's a free kick. In fact, an offside flag has been given. Right, player of the match is going to be rewarded here to Nathan Collins. I'm going to give it to Burnley's Nathan Collins. I think he's had a faultless game at centre-back. Those Barnes and Collins, in fact. Ironically, Collins has just been voted our player of the match. He's going to be our player of the match. He's sponsored by Commentary Services, and I think he's had a faultless game at centre-back. When you consider, as we just see that Barnes chance there, really should have pulled the trigger earlier than he did. Going back to Nathan Collins, why I picked him as player of the match above everybody else is that he's been drafted in at the 11th hour with Ben Mee's late withdrawal. And he's slotted in seamlessly at the back, and I think he's had a super game. Hardly put a foot wrong, and there's one crucial headers when the ball's been pumped into the Burnley box. He's had a super match. Terrific centre-back, certainly for the future. And I think Burnley have got a really good centre-back. Should Tarkowski decide to move on, I think we've got a very good replacement potentially there in Nathan Collins. And I think he's done his credentials. No harm at all with this display today. For me, player of the match. Right, 2 minutes to go. Here's Dwight McNeil for Burnley to Charlie Taylor, left-hand side. How would love a good cross to come in now from a Claret's point of view. Ball played in. Brownhill will keep it alive. Brownhill's crossing the goal. Lowton coming in. Lowton! Henton over the crossbar. And could that be one of the last chances Burnley get all afternoon? Matt Lowton came charging in at the far post like a rhinoceros. Taylor, McNeil's throw in. He asked a lot of Brownhill, but he worked a miracle to get it into the box. Lowton out jumped his opponent. And unfortunately, for the Irish defender, just couldn't keep the header down. Otherwise, that would have been the winning goal. Minute plus stoppage time, and I would be very amazed if it isn't no more than 3 minutes. We're going to see Idar come on for Norwich City just to tighten things up at the backs. Josh Sargent, Robert, is going to come off. I'll be amazed if it's any less than 3 minutes at the end of this one. We had 4 for the time wasted. And again, Tim Krul taking at least 15, 20 seconds over this goal kick. And he's been doing that throughout the entire match. And I think that's been disgraceful. Time-wasting tactics I do not agree with. Anyway, here's Brownhill. Gets it forward. Westwood now. Burnley knocking on the door. Getting so close a couple of moments ago through Matt Lowton's header, but couldn't keep the header down. There's a Burnley player gone tumbling, but the referee says play on. And here's a chance now for Adaya. He's got through here. And Tarkowski's there. And Tarkowski does terrifically well. Fantastic defending. And Adaya stepping back at him, but the ball's out. And 2 added minutes. Oh, my goodness me. Well, there's more than 2 added minutes there. The Burnley fans are incandescent with rage because of the time wasting that Tim Krul has blatantly done all afternoon. Second half especially, there should have been at least 3, maybe 4 minutes. Plus, you've got your substitutions. There should have been at least 4 minutes at the end there. Just the 2. Well, that just typifies the substandard of the officials. Tony Harrington now is now into my black book, along with referee Kevin Friend, who's not had his finest 90 minutes as a referee, or ever likely to have, for our Lebalongi referees. We played 1 minute of the 2. Brad Hill is now another walkie wounded. But there will be questions asked of the officials this afternoon. Should Burnley have had at least 2, maybe 3 clear-cut penalties? They certainly should have had one in the 16th minute when Tim Krul poleaxed him. Poleaxed Medra in the penalty area. Ali Campbell is left, and Maxwell Cornet still got a smile on his face there. Here he is with his young daughter in the crowd. But can that inspire Burnley? We've got 30 seconds of the additional 2, but I think there'll be time added on at the end of this. Norwich have got a free kick, and I think a lot of Burnley fans have seen enough of this really ridiculous show, and I think the officials have had a lot to do with this today. Kevin Friend has had an abysmal match, in my humble opinion. I might be a Burnley fan, but if it was another game involving 2 completely different teams, and he made a referee decision, and he made the same referee decisions, I would certainly be persecuting him. Make no mistake about it. We're now playing over the 2 minutes. Here come Norwich with a die. A die now with the cross. Well blocked. Nathan Collins, our man of the match, is marshalling the troops once again. As Norman sends that in, but that's going to be Pope. Is there one last chance maybe for Burnley to snatch a late winner here? Pope gets it out of his hands, gets it on the ground, gets it forward. And the referee's checked his watch. We're still playing on. Header 1-0 again by Norwich. Ball on halfway. Here's number 7 here. That's Rupp. Or number 17, rather, Rashika, I should say. Rashika now. Can Norwich snatch it at the last second? They don't deserve it if they do. Rupp on the edge of the penalty area. And Kenny McLean has possession. We played a minute over the 2 added. And I have to say that's a very questionable one, as the referee, who's had an absolute stinker, blows for time, and Burnley have been denied 2 points. Certainly in first half turns by some iffy refereeing. Burnley have been denied at least 2 clear-cut, if not 3 or 4 penalties in the first half. They could have easily had another one in the second half when I thought Taylor was fouled. It's not been a great day for Kevin Friend. It's a point apiece, but it does nothing to really relieve the pressure on both teams. We've yet still to win a game after 7 games. It's been a very disappointing day as the referee goes off to a chorus of boos, and my word, does he richly deserve them. Tony Harrington takes some criticism. How do you add on 2 minutes at the end when Tim Krul has been taking 20, 30 seconds on each and every corner and goal kick and free kick that he's had in his person the whole way through the second half? The officials need to be questioned, but in fairness, though, when you look at take the referee and everything out of it, Burnley really didn't do enough. They had a couple of glorious opportunities, one through Dwight McNeil when he miscontrolled. Jay Rodriguez had half a chance when he took his eye off the ball. And Barnes, when he went round the goalkeeper, didn't pull the trigger when he should have done, delayed, and the chance had gone. And then right at the end, Lowton headed it inches over the crossbar. Norman hit the bar from an attempted cross. I don't think he meant to shoot. And then he forced Pope into making a good save. I thought Pope had a super match in the goal today for Burnley. Nathan Collins had a super game, being drafted in at the 11th hour as replacement for Ben Mee. But really, in truth, Burnley's crossing was despicable to say the least, and it was easy for the Norwich back five to clear every single time. But let me reiterate, the referee was an absolute disgrace, especially in the first half, when I felt Tim Krul should have been penalised, possibly, definitely given a penalty against him, and possibly on another day could have easily been sent off when he poleaxed Martin Vidra, and Vidra beat him by a good 2 seconds to the ball. And I think that'll be the decision that will wrangle with lots of Burnley fans from here to eternity. It's finished here at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Norwich City 0.
Now it's time to hear from Norwich boss Daniel Farker.
What's the most striking emotion after that?
Yes, it was a difficult game and tight game, and with a good result for us. Yeah, the point here, Turf Moor is always valuable, and yes, especially also in our situation, we've lost the first 6 games, had a difficult preseason, and difficult fixture list, and also a difficult situation because some of our important key players arrived pretty late, even after the season was started. So for that, we had to change a lot the starting lineup in the beginning of the season, and I'm not a believer in too much rotation in the beginning of the season. And the confidence level, of course, after 6 losses in a row was not high. Then to show resilience on this test, to be absolutely compact and solid in defending, is quite a good result. I'm quite pleased with this. Of course, game is just perfect when you win it, and I would have preferred if you would have used one of our situations, or also a few periods where we could have been a bit better in possession. But all in all, many compliments for our young squad, and I think a pretty valuable point and first step.
A lot of people talk about the physicality you get when you come here. Were you pleased with the way you matched that?
Yes, we know them, so it's always a big battle here, and you have to accept this, because you can't avoid all the long balls and all the set pieces, and they are absolutely physical side. You have to accept that in moments you have to show steel and resilience and to fight for second balls, to defend all the set pieces, but then you also need periods, and when you make out of this game your game, and this is what we did. Perhaps, of course, I would have wished a few more periods of them, but all in all, I think we had good situations also to win the game, and all in all, I think a pretty valuable point.
What does this tell you about your team and going forward?
It was the first step. We also don't have to overinterpret this, but I think especially the young lads, for a young side, it's never easy when you're there with 6 losses and there's lots of criticism, and it's not easy in terms of self-confidence. You have to take step after step, and this was definitely the first step. And to show this commitment and resilience and also togetherness on the pitch was quite important. Right now we have to take also all the next steps, but especially to have this first important step for such a young side, anyhow, in this situation, especially in Turf Moor, where everyone speaks about we're perhaps a good possession side, but sometimes too soft, anyhow, to show this resilience in this tough test is good for the confidence, good for the mood, but also we don't have to overinterpret. Just the first step, we have to go many steps to achieve our target in the end.
In a way, you're disappointed that they'll all now go off and represent their countries instead of being able to go back and build?
Yes, especially after a good result and good performance, and when the spirits are high also in the dressing room, of course you want to build on it, but that's a fact. It's also good right now. We have a bit time to let the dust settle, also to recover a little bit. Hopefully my key players will come back also in a good shape, and also not injured. Just have a handful of players to work with in the next day. So we try to find a good mix, and then we keep going.
Now it's time to hear from Sean Dyche.
Point.
Well, it was certainly a strong performance again. I keep saying that. We know we've got to get more than just a strong performance, but the consistency of performance is important over a season. So I'm happy with the consistent levels, but we've got to find that cutting edge in the box. And we get 2 or 3 moments today, 2 or 3 moments in other games. Maybe you need a ref's decision. That'd be helpful at some point. But generally, another strong performance without finding that cutting edge.
You mentioned referee's decision. Do you feel you should have had maybe a different one?
I think he had an indifferent game today, and I think there was a couple of moments, particularly Vidra getting in behind in the first half, when I think Hanley pushed him in the back, and we've seen him get given against us. We don't get many for us. We know that our record of penalties for us is horrendous.
Just for the record, what did Vidra go off with in the end?
He just got knocked.
Right. So it wasn't a bang from the Krul incident earlier?
No.
Just assessing today's performance, do you take positives from it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a clean sheet, so there's a good positive. A lot of the performance is right about what we do, but you've got to find the edge. You've got to find that cutting edge. That's why centre forwards get paid so much money and they're often very expensive. But we will find it because our history and our record suggest it. We've got 4 good centre forwards when they're all fit. We've got Maxwell coming back at some point. It's just that little edge as well he's offered so far. So there's a lot of signs of it, but we've got you have to go and make it happen rather than wait for it. I've said it every week and we've got to say it again today, unfortunately, but we'll find our way as we often do.
Do you assess this as maybe a missed opportunity against a team out of form?
No, you can't guarantee that. You just got to go and take on the game like we did do. We took it on in the right manner. We stayed calm, and everyone's a bit edgy. She's still searching for that first win, but we stayed calm. And like I say, you've got to keep creating the moments and one will come our way.
You were in exactly the same position last season, 2 points from your first 7. Are you just as confident as you were then?
We only got 2.
Sorry.
That's a nightmare. Point
just where you were last year.
So it was a reasonable day, not terrible.
Just repeat that again. You're better 1 point better off than you were this.
It's much better fun than the rest of my interview.
You're a point better off than you were a year ago. So you're feeling more as positive as you were then?
Well, I'm always positive. We've had a tough start, an indifferent start, but performances are not that way. Last year we had a lot of injuries and the performances weren't right. We're not a million miles away, so the belief in that has to continue.